Welcome, folks, to Ironsworn Starforged. I am Kevin. I'll be your host and your DM for this session 0. So, if you're not sure what Ironsworn. Sorry, I got those two mixed up there. It is a solo gaming experience that acts like a choose your own adventure. And we use these things called oracles, which I'll explain further further on in the game, and how they work. And so because of that, we're going to start and make a character. Not just the character, but also our ship and the sector and kind of the general area that we are going to be adventuring in. So join me on session 0. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to need to do for getting started is what we do is we call choose your truths. And what this is a table that we roll these dice on, and whatever the outcomes are, that is what is going to determine some things about the background. But before we do that, there are a few default assumptions that we can pretty much set our clock by. That these are truths in the universe, and these are true for the game as well. Okay, and that is that this is a perilous future. 2 centuries ago, our people fled a cataclysm and settled a distant galaxy that they call the Forge. This is a chaotic place full of dangers and mysteries. And this is also a lonely future, with some possible exceptions that you identify as part of your own truths, or I should say my own truths. Humans are the only known intelligent life in the galaxy that we know of. Others once lived here, but only mysterious and perilous vaults remain to mark their legacy. This is a diverse future. There is a vibrant mix of different people, cultures among the humans of the Forge. This is a very far-flung future, so settlements lie scattered and often isolated from one another. Starship can travel at faster than light speeds, and it is ponderously slow at a cosmic scale. So we're going to pretty much be stuck to certain sectors, and I'll go into sectors much later on, but that's kind of where the game is going to be taking place. This is a unexplored future, so discoveries await even in settled regions. Much of the Forge is unknown and uncharted. And this is a wondrous future. The Forge is a galaxy of ancient mysteries, spacefaring creatures, startling phenomenon, and other marvels. This is a retro future. Envision the technology that we're going to be wielding as only slightly advanced over today's real-world technologies, or even a step back in many ways. Resources are scarce, and the people of the Forge must cobble together what they can. This is an unjust future. Those in power hoard resources, control technologies, and impair their will on others through force or cunning. Others must stand against these forces of imperialism and oppression. This is a hopeful future. Despite these challenges, hope remains. Fulfilling your sworn vows is a realization of that hope. Now, that actually touches on something. In this game, we swear oaths to ourselves and to other people on bits of iron. They may be a trinket or a sword or a piece of, it might be a necklace. As long as it's like an iron thing, they make these vows, and vows are kind of a key component of the game because it actually will end up marking progress. So as we complete quests or complete missions to complete that goal that we're going to, we actually gain experience, and we can swear more than one vow, iron vows it's called, and that's actually a big part of the game is to do that. So we're going to go on to choosing or setting the truths. So for the first one is called Cataclysm, and what we're going to do is I'm going to take some dice And we came up with 81. And that is, we escaped a catastrophic war. Over a millennia, we consumed resources and shattered lives as we fueled the engines of industry, expansion, and war. In the end, a powerful foe took advantage of our rivalries and in a violent bid for power. Fleeing the devastation, we assembled our fleets and traveled to the Forge, a new home, a fresh start. In the final war, we were set upon. Here's another table. And we got religious zealots. So, as I envision, there must have been a religious order or sect of zealots that was maybe the cause of this interstellar war, and because of the beliefs and because of what they had going on, it was becoming just way too dangerous for common folk to survive. Maybe they were being prosecuted for not believing in that particular faith or something going on, so they had to flee on these ships. So moving on from there. Okay, so this is for the Exodus. We got 49. So that will be a ragtag fleet of ships propelled at tremendous speeds by an experimental FTL drives, carried our ancestors to the Forge. But the technology that powered the ships is said to be the source of the sundering, a fracturing of reality that plagues us here today. The experimental drives used by the Exodus fleet are forbidden, but the damage has already been done. The sundering spreads across our reality like cracks on the surface of an icy pond. Those fissures unleash even more perilous realities upon our own. Did we flee one cataclysm only to inadvertently create another? So that's a very interesting one, because that means that there is an alternate reality, maybe, or something like, if you've ever seen Event Horizon, where the ship comes back from a different dimension and it's like hell, or if you're familiar with like Warhammer with the warp. So that seems like it could be something along those lines, where maybe there's a different set of reality that has different denizens that may be preying upon the common folk if they go that way. That's why it's forbidden. So, okay. So we got that for our Exodus. And for our communities, let's see what we got. We got 35. So, dangers abound, but there is safety in numbers. Many ships and settlements are united under the banner of one of the founder clans. We have a tentative foothold in this galaxy. Each of the 5 founder clans honor the name and legacy of a leader who guided their people in the chaotic time after the Exodus. Vast reaches of the settled domains are claimed by the clans, and territorial skirmishes are common. Okay, so pretty much thinking of like Game of Thrones, we have different houses, so like House Baratheon and House Lannister and things like that. So these clans are probably going to be kind of key portions of the story. May involve one or all of these houses, and they're probably all vying for power, like old medieval nobles and things like that. Who knows? Maybe they actually might be kind of a futuristic feudal system. It really depends on what we roll for the factions and how they are. They may be super oppressive, or they may be benevolent. We're not really quite sure. So let's see what we got for the next one we got going on. So that was communities. Iron. All right. Okay, so for iron, we got 77. Our communities are bound under the term... 77. The Ironsworn bind their honor to iron blades. Oh, interesting. Aboard a starship where stray gunfire can destroy fragile equipment or pierce hulls, the brutality practicality of a sword makes for a useful weapon. A few also favor the silent efficiency of a blade for infiltration or espionage. Most importantly, When the Ironsworn swear a vow upon a sword, they bind their commitment to the metal. If they forsake a vow, that iron must be abandoned. To be Ironsworn without a blade is to be disgraced. Alright, so that's going to be very interesting. So that means that we're going to have some sort of sword, whether it's ceremonial or actual, like, hack and slash sidearm for us to use, which may come in handy if we're on like scuttled ships and there's like a creature in there, you need something to defend yourself. So all right, maybe our sword starting off is not exactly fine craftsmanship. It might be literally a iron wrought sword that is made out of scraps of iron, and jerry rigged together. So but we'll see how that works. When it comes to the law, we got 14. Oh boy. Much of the settled domains are a lawless frontier. Criminal factions and corrupt leaders often hold sway. Powers rise and fall in the Forge, so any authority is fleeting in the end. We must fend for ourselves. Like few communities are bastions of successful autonomy, but many are corrupted or preyed upon by petty despots, criminals, and raiders. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be like Mad Max in space. We're going to have a lot of lawless areas, and there's not a centralized government, so it's pretty much going to be like everybody out for their own, it sounds like. That's going to be fun. See what we got for religion. Okay, religion, we got 22. Our gods failed us, we left them behind. The Exodus was a tipping point. The gods offered no help to the billions who died in the cataclysm, and has little meaning in the Forge. Most now see religion as a useless relic of our past, but the search for meaning continues, and many are all too willing to follow a charismatic leader who claims to offer a better way. That actually makes sense. If we had the cataclysm that came after us, from the religious zealots and the wars, that could definitely leave a bad taste in people's mouths of, this is what religion had led to. So I can see them being like, yeah, we don't need that because we've already been there and seen what's happened. So okay, magic. All right, magic 15. Magic does not exist. Some look into superstition and age-old traditions for comfort in this unforgiving galaxy, but that is foolishness. What some call magic is simply a product of technologies or natural forces we aren't yet equipped to understand. Okay, well, I guess that makes it a little bit easier. Communication and data. 36. Information is life. We rely on spaceborne couriers to transport messages and data across the vast distances between settlements. Direct communications and transmissions beyond the near space of a ship or outpost are impossible. Digital archives are available at larger outposts, but the information is not always up to date or reliable. Therefore, the most important communication that discoveries are carried by couriers who swear vows to see that data is safely transferred to its destination. Okay. I can see that. Orders of sworn healers preserve our medical knowledge and train new generations of caregivers. Life-saving advanced care is available within larger communities. Throughout the settled sectors of the Forge, even remote communities are often served by a novice healer, or can request help from a healer's guild in an emergency. Okay. This one's going to be interesting. Artificial intelligence. 83. Artificial consciousness emerged in the time before the Exodus, and sentient machines live with us here in the Forge. Our ships Digital assistants, bots, and other systems often house advanced AI. For a lone traveler, machine intelligence can provide companionship and aid when the perilous depths of the forge. Okay, that actually also kind of makes sense. Maybe one of the reasons why the cataclysm kind of started and the whole war happened between the religious zealots was over the AI. Maybe they saw the AI sentience as being an affront to their religion, versus those who wanted the non-biased logical analysis that the AI most likely would have provided. I can see that being cause for some strife. All right, war. Okay, we got 19. Here in the Forge, resources are too precious to support organized fighting forces or advanced weaponry. Weapons are simple and cheap. Starships are often cobbled together from salvage. Most communities rely on ragtag bands of poorly equipped conscripts or volunteers to defend their holdings, and raiders prowl the forge in search of easy prey. Okay, so seeing that we may have AI, so that might have been the one thing that we kind of like protected when we fled the cataclysm was the AI, but we weren't able to leave in like massive ships. Like I said, the ragtag fleet of ships, and then over the years they were able to like cobble stuff together or add on to it. I can almost see it as being like a cobbled together fleet that they've been using. Okay. Life forms. We got 28. This is a perilous and often inhospitable galaxy, but life finds a way. It does. Life in the Forge is diverse. Planets are often home to a vast array of creatures, and our starships cruise with spaceborne life forms riding in their wake. Even animals from our own homeworld, carries aboard the Exodus ships, have adapted to live with us in the Forge. So that means we must have cattle and goats and dogs and cats and all that good stuff. I like that. Always have a cat, Let's see what we got for the next one, which is called precursors. Okay, precursors. We got 53. The Ascendancy, an advanced spacefaring empire, once ruled the entirety of the Forge. Vaults of inscrutable purpose are all that remains to mark the Ascendancy's legacy, but those places are untethered from our own reality. So maybe from the warp travel, maybe that is actually the realm that the Ascendancy is from. Maybe that's why it's kind of an otherworldly kind of zone. And for the last one, this is called Horrors. 57. Most insist that horrors aren't real. Spacers know the truth. When you travel the depths of the Forge, be wary. Some say we are cursed by those who do not survive the cataclysm, and the veil between life and death is forever weakened. Supernatural occurrences and entities are especially common near a white dwarf star. These stellar objects, which spacers call ghost lights, are decaying remnants of a dead star. Interesting. Okay. So again, I think that has to kind of go with the rift opening up and letting in otherworldly cosmic horrors. So that's gonna be fun / terrifying. So yeah. All right. 1 second. Okay, so on to the character. First of all, it says here to ready your assets. So I was lucky enough, I actually got the asset cards. So I was able to put these into each of its like little stacks. And I was able to pick out the things that I want. So kind of your class in this game works off of what's called paths. And you can choose different paths to kind of showcase what your skills are and what your what your job is, essentially. And I've actually already chose two paths, as I'm supposed to do, and that is that of a gearhead and a scavenger. So, because I'd already kind of envisioned something for this character, and here it says gearhead. So as we start off the game, we have this benefit that is already available to us. And it says here, when you make a move to craft, repair, repurpose, or modify equipment or technology, add +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. Now, I will explain momentum, hits, and all that good stuff more so later on down the road. The other one is scavenger. When you gather information or resupply by scavenging a wreck, ruin, or abandoned site, add +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. On a strong hit with the match, you also find something of unique value, significance, or function. Envision the nature of this discovery, take +2 momentum, and mark 2 ticks on your discovery's legacy track. So that's actually really kind of cool. So we can actually progress our storyline simply by finding something really, really cool. All right. Moving on from there, so we've already chose our 2 paths. We're going to create our backstory. Now, I've already gone ahead and rolled up some information so that way you don't have to hear me going back and forth through the book. And that is our backstory prompt. Our backstory is we were denied a birthright. Maybe we were exiled, but yeah, we were denied a birthright. And that's kind of where we are starting from. The vow, which is next, to write our background vow, is to assume the rightful place or to restore our name or honor to where we were. Okay? So there's that. Now, the way that I came about this is I rolled on the Oracle, and it said remove stranger. So that kind of gave me an idea that maybe we were ousted by, maybe we were like super, super young, and we had like maybe an evil uncle or something like that who was like estranged, and everyone thought he was actually dead or gone, but he just showed up right around the time that maybe my character's father, who was the rightful leader, passed away or something, and maybe a suspicious accident or something like that. And this stranger claimed to be his brother or illegitimate son or whatever, legitimate son or something like that along those lines, and assumed position at the head of the clan, and to make sure that he didn't have any what's that word I'm looking for, challengers, he exiled my character out of the clan and maybe out of the sector or something like that. So we've had to essentially start from scrap and claw our way back up, and hopefully maybe take him out or replace him or something like that to restore our good name and to restore our rightful position. Came up with the name for my character, and his name is Dex Becker. So I'm thinking much like how we have like the clan houses and stuff like that, maybe it's House Becker is the name of the house. And my call sign is Moose. I envision this guy to be kind of a larger, kind of a gruff kind of guy, and yeah, they just call him Moose just because he's a big dude. So one of the other assets that we have is our ship, our starship, and our starship is armed. It's a multi-purpose starship. It's suited for interstellar and atmospheric flight. It can comfortably transport several people, has space for cargo, and can carry and launch support vehicles. And when we advance, we may spend experience to equip this vehicle with modular assets. So some of the other assets that we have, we can add on extra rooms like med bays, workshops, vehicle bays, all sorts of cool stuff with it. So the starship name that I came up with is the Relentless. And the way that it is envisioned is that it is built out of repurposed scrap, which goes along with the whole ragtag fleet. So maybe it's actually kind of a Frankenstein ship of various other ships that are kind of cobbled together. You found in like junkyards and things like that. And there's a very distinct characteristic about this ship, and is that the hull rattles and groans whenever it's like going through the atmosphere. So, it's kind of a, he calls it talking. The ship is talking to him kind of thing, let him know where the pains are. And he has complete and utter trust in the ship, and it's never let him down yet. So there's that. And for the last utility, or asset, I should say, is actually I'm picking up a utility bot. This utility bot is a companion that has helpful tools at hand, and when you make a move by directing it to access a system, cut through an obstacle, analyze a mechanical issue, or disassemble a device, roll plus its health and take +1 momentum on a hit. On a strong hit with a match, it reveals an unexpected advantage or insight. Take another +1 momentum. And I came up with a name for this little guy, and I envision him to be called Badger. Don't really know why. Just Moose and Badger. That's their call signs, and that's what I'm going with. So there is that. Now we're going to go on to our stats. So when it comes to stats, we have 5. We have what's called Edge, which generally oversees your quickness, your agility, prowess when fighting at a distance. So it would be kind of like your dexterity. Heart, it would be your courage, your willpower, your empathy, sociability, and loyalty. I could see this almost being like your charisma. Iron, it's your physical strength, your endurance, your aggressiveness, and prowess when fighting at close quarters, which may come in handy if you're using a sword. Shadow, sneakiness, deceptiveness, and cunning. And wits, that's your expertise, your knowledge, and observation. So here we have values that we can give each one of these, ranging from the highest so far to from 3 down to 1. So we can actually utilize 3, 2, 2, 1, and 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, let me see, Edge, Heart, Iron, Shadow, and Wits. And I'm thinking for the highest one, because we are, we're a scrap worker. So I envision us to be pretty, like I said, he's a big dude. His nickname's Moose. So I'm thinking his physical strength and endurance and aggressiveness is going to be a 3. So that's what's going to be the highest for him. He's going to be strong. Next, I think Heart. I think Heart's going to be a 2 because he's got that the loyalty, willpower, courage. He's got to go into some derelict spaceships by himself or with Badger, and he's probably run into a few things and raiders and things like that he's got to help take care of, and he's got to be pretty brave when it comes to that stuff. And then for the other one, I'm thinking I think Wits. I think Wits is going to be a 2. So when it comes to expertise, knowledge, and observation, I think you've got to have some observation skills, especially when it comes to finding salvage and maybe looking out for traps, things that are jury-rigged, things that maybe he's got a little bit of know-how when it comes to like hacking and getting into splicing wires and things like that. Things that if the utility bot can't do, he might know a workaround. Which means Shadow is going to be a 1. I don't see him as being super sneaky and deceptive and cunning kind of thing, because I think I see him more of being a no pun intended, a straight shooter. He's just kind of, he gets to the point, and he doesn't really have time to go sneaking in the shadows, because he doesn't really blend in well with the shadows. And then edge is also going to be a 1 as well, because quickness, agility, and prowess when fighting at a distance. Maybe because he just doesn't have a lot of experience with fighting at a distance, because again, they don't really use guns in that aspect. Or if they do, it's more of like land-based kind of stuff. I think he's just much rather get up close and personal with either a sword or like a massive pipe wrench or something to bash some noggins in. So yeah, we got our stats, and then from there we would set up our condition meters, which is a way of tracking our health, which is our health, our spirit, and supply, which they all start at 5. We have a momentum, and momentum is kind of like, much like the namesake, the momentum of the story, momentum of the fight. You can burn momentum to kind of alter dice rolls. So if you fail a roll, you could use a point of momentum to make it into like a weak hit, so that way you succeed, but there's still consequences. And then going on from there, we are going to envision our character. So like I said, I see this guy as being a large man, large dude, probably like in his early 20s. Kind of got like a football player kind of like physique, linebacker kind of guy. He's because he's used to lifting and hauling salvage and metal pieces and stuff like that. Probably got a little bit of facial hair going on, a little unkept, because he's doesn't really have anybody else on the ship. It's just him and the bot doesn't really care about how he looks. So I think he can clean up nice when he wants to, but when he's out and doing his job, he just doesn't really care about that. Doesn't really faze him. Kind of a loner. So yeah, we'll go with that. And then the name. So like I said, his name is going to be Dex Becker. That's what I'm going with. And gear. So we have the base gear kit that all spacers or all people who start off in the game have, and that would be a sealed environment suit, flashlight / headlamps, a toolkit, a med kit, and a personal communicator. So in addition to that, we can also have a couple personal items. And I'm thinking with personal items is that we're going to have his sword. And I'm thinking maybe this sword is one that he has essentially forged himself out of scrap. Whether he's, beaten it together. And I'm thinking it's very strong, but at the same time, it's not exactly like finesse. It's not pretty looking, but it's definitely will get the job done, much like him. So we're gonna put down that he has the sword. I'm gonna also put down he has a compass. Now this compass, I envision it being more like kind of like a directional GPS for his ship. So if he lands on a planet, or if he's like in a derelict shuttle, wherever he had parked his ship and come in, he can pull this compass out and know exactly which direction his ship is, so that he can always find his way out to where his ship is, or to get back to his ship. So much like, like it could be like a GPS locator, but I'm just going to call it the compass. And then I think he's going to have a big old pipe wrench. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. He's going to have a big old pipe wrench. He's going to carry over his shoulders, just kind of like, it's a good intimidation tool that he can use. And you know what? He's also going to have a teddy bear. I know, right? Teddy bear. It's going to be something he's had since he's a kid. Maybe when he got ousted, he was a small child, and the only thing that he was able to really take with him was this teddy bear. And it kind of, I think he just keeps it with him, and like on his, maybe he sits in the co-pilot seat of his, of the ship. He just kind of has it strapped in there, and it's just somebody that he talks to when he's not talking to Badger or something like that. And he just Yeah, I think that's his buddy, Buddy Bear. I think that's his name, his buddy. Perfect. Buddy Bear. Sounds good. All right, I'm thinking that's pretty good for starting off for personal effects. I think that will do for him. All right, starting next is going to be starting a sector. Okay, so now that I've already done all the numbers, all the crunching, and all that stuff, we have our region, which is called the Outlands. So there is 3 places that you can start, and that is the Terminus, which is essentially like the inner sphere of the verse that is the most populated, whereas the Outlands, or it's kind of like the Outer Rim, less populated, a little bit more rough around the edges. And then you have the Expanse, which is like the deep space, the void. So after rolling 3 settlements I came up with, and that is, the first one is a orbital settlement called Astra. It has thousands of people. It is actually built in a repurposed ship, so I'm thinking it's one of the post-cataclysm Exodus ships. It was a kind of a generational ship that they have now kind of retrofitted to be kind of like an orbiting colony ship. Essentially, it's a neutral ground for us. The authority there is very unyielding. Like, they are very strict on the things that they do. They cover mining, medical, agricultural, and salvage. So that's kind of the things that they need to keep going. But they also have some trouble too. They have failing technology. So some of their systems are just getting too old and it's failing, and they don't really have replacement parts for certain components and systems, which is great for us, because if we're coming across certain components and doodads that they need, we can trade and hopefully get supplies and get whatever else things that we need. So there is a planet that is nearby. That's the only planet in this sector. By the way, the sector name is Purgatorio, and the name of the planet is Inferno. And the reason why I named it that is because the planet came up as being a tainted planet, and it has a caustic, like toxic kind of atmosphere. It's almost like sulfurous. It's extremely hot, and it plays hell on everything down there. But there is 2 settlements. One is named Glimmer, which is kind of ironic, and it's a toxic or polluted area. Hundreds of people live there, and it's made out of essentially like salvage materials and ships and stuff like that. They've made it into like a environmentally sealed area. They're actually pretty welcoming, especially to me, being a salvage kind of guy. Like they know me there, so that's actually something, probably going to be a place that we visit quite a bit. Law, they don't really have any. They're actually kind of lawless, but they know everybody that's around there, and all the troublemakers, so to say, have to go take a walk out in the wastes without the protector suits on. So that doesn't really bode well for them. They deal mostly in salvage and like scrap and things like that nature. And their trouble is they have like an impending attack. So they probably get attacked by raiders and things like that. The raiders see them as being like easy prey. So, and the other one is called Burrow, and thousands of people live under there. It's a defensive location, and it's built from random scrap, but I envision it as being mostly underground, maybe some natural caves that they were able to essentially seal off and like pressurize, and make it into like a clean environment. So that's where like the majority of the planet's population probably lives in this massive cave complex that's underground, so they're safe from the atmosphere. And they seem to be asking for help all the time. They're really tolerant of everyone. They have a lot of mining, which makes sense if they're in a cave environment. They probably have like a lot of veins that they're constantly mining, and they have a pretty lively black market that they engage in, and they're always on depleting supplies. So they need supplies all the time, because I mean there's thousands of people down there, so they need people to bring them food and all that stuff. So I mean, if Astra is the agricultural hub, they probably need food deliveries coming in, interstellar grub hub, right? So yeah, there's that. There also seems to be a sector trouble, and I rolled on this thing. It shows that there's a raider clan emerging as a dominant threat under a new leader. So that makes sense. I mean, if there's having raids on Glimmer, this new raider clan is starting to gain power and gain followers and under a new like leader. So there might be, who knows, that might actually be the leader of our house has turned his house into the lead raiders. That could be interesting. So this is going to be the start of where we begin our adventure, and this also is going to conclude the session 0 of us making our character and also coming up with the background, the sector, our ship, and all the character stuff. So tune in next time for episode 1, the start of the journey. Okay guys, till next time, catch you guys on the flip side.